Welcome, you crazy ultra pedal nerds. And this is for the ultra pedal nerds because we're talking about an ultra pedal. It's the Bibo from Poly. After the digit from Poly comes the Bibo from Poly Effects. This is a very special kind of situation. The company is so small that we literally deal with one guy. It's Loki Davidson, who's assembling the pedals, doing the programming, doing the tech support, being up all night talking to people like me to figure out the product. It's as small as a company goes. One person. And his goal in life is to make a lot of work for himself, because if he created an overdrive, okay, you can do that with one person. He created a monster with a back end of programming and tech that's ridiculous, and I don't know how he plans to, have this company, but he's doing it. So now we have Bibo. And what in the world is Bibo? I would describe it as the future of what pedals should be. Nowadays we have phones with our little screens, and they go, and then everything is touchy and feely, and all of a sudden you got the sound, or a call, or whatever you want to call it, or sounded. Where was I? How? This is how confusing this pedal makes me. Why in the world are we dealing with little dot 3-digit displays, like on the Strymons? Which of course they are 10 years old or even older than that. But even on other things like the 500 series from Boss, we're dealing with a little display and you're doing dials. Everything's got a touch screen. Why not having touch screens in pedals and making them more user-friendly? This is where it can go. So I see what we're looking at as what other companies should aspire to be. Loki's doing it all by himself. So please forgive some things that are not quite ready yet, or things where you would say, this could be more streamlined. I do agree, and I will bitch about these things, but please know that everything can be updated and improved by your input and a simple firmware update, which you can do with a USB stick. It's one guy. Feedback. Buy the damn thing, send him feedback, say, it would really be neat if it could do this, if it could do this. At the moment, it's rather nerdy to get some things happening. Let's show it first, and we're gonna see what it is. That's what it is. 3 stompies. It has a D and an E, even though I can't really see that in the menus, but okay, let's say 3 stomp switches and 2 encoders. That's it. So I'm gonna show you what it looks like when you boot it up. On the back, and that's interesting, you could probably see that, well, I'm going to tell you, in the intro, we have 4 inputs, so technically stereo in and stereo out, but that's not true. Actually, each of those is TRS. So the first one is channel 1 and 2, the second one is channel 3 and 4, so 4 inputs and 4 outputs. It's quadraphonic if you wanted that. Or have 1 effect chain for your guitar, 1 effect chain for your bass, 1 effect chain for a synthesizer, 1 effect chain for your... You get the idea? There's a lot you can do. And then there's Midi in and out with the little mini plugs, and he gives you the adapter cables, and then USB for the firmware update with the USB stick. So this is how it's booting. It's not an instant-on pedal. And when we're used to pedals on pedal boards, I get that there's stuff that doesn't necessarily fall into the normal pedal board category. You can't turn it on and it's right there. As you can see, it takes time to boot. And now, look at that. It's loading. It's empty. How's that? Why? Okay? Those are things that don't make it like the normal Strymon. With the normal Strymon or H9, and this is definitely in that category, you can switch in the middle of a song and bam, there's your next preset. Here, if I go to load the preset, I'm going to load any kind of preset here. It's loading, as you can see. So changing a patch in the middle of a song not gonna happen. At least not yet. Loki's working on something like this. But again, you have to get your head around it. Having this on the table in a studio situation or with your synthesizer, that's amazing. Now, this is part guitar pedal, part whatever you want it to be effect, and primarily aimed also at the Eurorack modular guys. If you're a modular guy in the synth world, and we're not going to really go into this other than this sentence, you understand all this stuff. You see the connections. You understand what a something is and a CV to MIDI CC and all this stuff. For us guitar players, woo! But maybe we don't even need this. Go to a preset, figure out how to tweak it, don't even touch the damn thing. Okay? So I'm going to show you the basics. And then we're going to go through some presets and some stuff that I've done with it. And then we're done. Let's see how that goes. So I'm going to go to empty preset. One thing to understand is the empty preset is nothing but just a preset. If you put something in there and hit save, overwrite, it's going to be in your empty preset. The empty preset should always be empty, Loki. But you see, these are little tiny things that aren't quite ready yet or quite thought through. The thing is, he would say, oh yeah, I've got that done tomorrow. Bam, and it's done tomorrow. So as long as you have a company that listens to you, we can totally forgive those little oversights. The more people use it, the better the product will get. You have 4 ins, 4 outs, physical outs in the back. The way I have it connected is I got 2 amps connected, the Tone King Sky King and the Dynamist by Rev, going into two IR loaders, the AUX and the Torpedo Studio. But I didn't have a little breakout cable from TRS to 2 monos. So I literally am going into out of 1 and out of 3. Okay, and the way you do this is you simply, instead of connecting out 1 and 2, you connect out 1 and 3. And that's easy. So you can see in the back, I literally have 2 normal cables connected here. And instead of doing 1 and 2, I'm doing 1 and 3. And that's it. You can use totally normal cables to do that. So I can go and load up a module. Before I talked to him, this was all one big list. And I said, hey, Loki, can't you just like make it by topic? I don't want to see all the synth stuff. I'm not a synth guy. Why would I want to see the synthesis and the weird stuff? You know? I mean, obviously, a diddle ladder LPF is a good thing, or granular. You can, of course, use that for guitar. But this is the more synth-heavy modules. He made categories. Input, output. You know, MIDI ins and outs, foot switch ins and outs. So it's much easier now. And he listens to you. This is the great thing. So I'm going to load up an effect. Now, how the Bibo, which is this, compared to the Digit, which is the pink one. How are they different? Because a lot of the modules seem to be the same, but then some of them are not. I'm having a little trouble to distinguish the big difference between Bibo and Digit. I think Bibo has the rotary stuff and some more delays. Digit also has delays, but Digit has the Convolution reverbs built in, and they're amazing. So that's the big difference. Other than that, and also, I think this has more synth stuff. But again, they're similar. So marketing-wise and placing themselves in the market, I'm confused because there's a lot of overlap between Digit and Bibo. We're going to see that there's actually more than overlap. There's full integration of both, but we're going to see that. Those are the modules. We have an algo reverb, an auto swell, which is great, a bit mangler, a delay, a doubler panner, a freeze to hold your thing, a J chorus, a looping delay, which has granular things, an EQ, a compressor, a panner, a phaser, reverse, rotary, an advanced rotary with more settings, saturator, EQ, compressor, phaser, flanger, a turntable stop, twist delay, and a warmifier. That by itself is already pretty good. Don't think of this as a helix, where you have all these classic effects, and you just pick one. You have to work a little bit harder to get to where you want to be. So let's actually pick the algo reverb. There it is. It shows up. I put that there. To connect it, I'm holding 1, and now I see it changed at the bottom, and I'm actually clicking on this. I'm going into the left in, and I'm done. He just added that. That's a cool function. Now, where do I want to go? I hit the algo verb. Please forgive that this camera is, upside down. There's just no other way. So I'm hitting out. It's asking me which one I want to connect. So the left out is going to 1. I do the same thing for 3. Right out's going to 3. And bam, my algo verb is connected. Now, we're going to see how that sounds. Using this Stanford Crossroads series, Thinline 35 AV. Holy crap, is that a good guitar? Clocks in at 1250, including case. But we're going to get to that in a video. To edit, I click on it. And now there's a blend. So let's see if I take this. I can move this on the screen. Thank you, Leslie. You got it. Blend all the way down. Someone asked me, is it analog drive-through? I can't tell you. I'm going to say probably not. So one way to edit it is just drag it back and forth. The other way, just click on it with your finger where you want it. The other way is select the parameter, and then you take the right knob and you have coarse control. And with the left knob, you have fine control. And really dial it in, okay? I'll show you a trick to always have your guitar in there, no matter where the blend is. A lot of these parameters seem to be very useful in a very small range, and then there's just range where you're like, why is it even there? This is trial and error stuff and feedback too, Loki, where I think some of this needs to be tweaked in the more usable range, according to me, and I'm just one guy. So what you can do is you go back here, I hold 1, and connect it to out. And I hold 1 and connect it to 3 out. And no. And now you can see that I have my in connected directly to my outs as well. So I always have a drive through. That's actually a really nice reverb. I mean, it's got nicer ones, but that's a nice one. There's pitch. And that's one of those things where I wish, you can see that it changes. Go to the top, Leslie, please. Yeah, you can see that it changes in weird numbers. It doesn't change in musical increments. That would be nice if that was switchable. Because 12 isn't an octave, I think. It's pretty much not usable in the musical context. So now I try to take it down to exactly 0 again, and these things just need to be added. And I literally can't. I literally can't get it back down to 0 exactly. There isn't a double, there isn't a function to do this. The little dial next to the slider is so that if you want to assign the controls, but don't want to touch it to change, because once you touch it, you change the parameter. So if I go to blend, I can actually just touch the little circle, and now it's blend. Something dangerous, which Loki and I discussed, and I think he's going to change that, is if now my blend is assigned. So I back out of it, and my blend is still assigned until I touch another parameter. But are you going to remember that? Because oftentimes I go into a different module, don't select something yet, turn it, and all of a sudden, damn it, I changed it in my last module. So I think as soon as you leave the module, it shouldn't be able to adjust anything. But again, difference of opinion. So let's see. What if I wanted to assign, let's say on one side, I want a phaser behind the reverb. However, by the way, I get it to, okay, I get it to minus 0.4. So I'm going to disconnect it. I'm going to hold this in. And at the bottom here, there's a disconnect. And it's saying, what do you want to connect? Disconnect. Left out is disconnected. I'm going to add effects. Basic phaser. I'll put that here. Left out to the phaser. Phaser to out. Done. And now my reverb on one side is going through phaser. That's pretty cool. Now you'd ask, rightfully so, well, are the foot switches now basically assigned to turn these things on and off? No, they're not. They're not really assigned to anything. Unless foot switch number 3 is assigned to bypass, which kind of... But get this, something again is off there. And those are things that will easily be fixed. I mean, I'm bitching about this. I'm sorry, Loki. But I'm so excited about this product. With your help, those bugs will be gone like this. So look at this. I'm hitting the foot switch. It goes to bypass. Now, wouldn't you expect me to hit it again and then it goes away? Wait, why did it do that? Okay. Didn't do it before. Damn it. Okay, fine. So these don't do anything. So I add a foot switch. Foot switch A. I'm connecting that to the algo reverb. Not BPM out, I want a value out. And I can say where the value goes. Look at this. Look at all this stuff. Now, there's no way right now to go to on-off. Okay? There isn't. He's working on that because I told him to do that. I want to be able to switch that. The way to do it, let me see if I can do it, because I saw in Leon Todd's presets how he did that. So I'm going to disconnect this from the reverb. I'm going to add a VCA. Nope. That's not in out. Is that control? Yes. Simple voltage controlled amplifier. So I'm going into the VCA. Easy. From the VCA into the algo verb, left in. And then I'm hooking up the foot switch to the VCA. Value out. Let's see if it now works. I have no idea. Okay. Here. And that's it. So it's switching. It's got one value. 1 or 0. I mean, it literally has gain. So if I'm on my foot switch, see, there's a value. I'm pushing it. And it's going to 1. But right now, it's not latching. It's momentary. So you could literally build your own momentary reverb very simply. So going... Super cool. Or you switch this to latching. Now again, there's things that should be more user-friendly. Why is latching going through all these values? Because it's literally on or off. This should be a simple switch on or off. But fine, this is gonna come. Now, it's latching. But obviously, this is turning off the whole chain. It's simply cutting the signal going into the reverb and the phaser. What if I only wanted to turn off the reverb? He's working on that because that's how he is. He doesn't sleep. What is this? It's cool. So, this is the basic functionality. There is so much cool stuff in there you have no idea. I can do MIDI stuff and send MIDI signals to the MIDI out. Trigger something MIDI with a foot switch. And if you understand logic circuits and plus minus, and this is a difference module, if you're one of those modular people, this is amazing. For us normal people that want to strive and put it on the floor and go, a couple of things are missing, which is tons of presets by category. But you know what? They will come with a bigger user base. There will be more presets. The question is, do you want to be an early adopter or not? I say be an early adopter because we haven't even talked about the pricing. So let's go into some presets, which I go load preset. Let's do basic chorus. Let's look at a couple of sounds here. And you can see I already assigned that to 1 and 3, so that means it's one of the ones I fixed. Wait, why is there no huh? Now, how do we find out what the foot switches do? Should be an easier way to do this, but I go in here and I go to disconnect, which are these little dots. And then it's telling me foot switch A is going to enable and foot switch B to enable. Going back, clicking here, and we can see that there are two choruses. Moving to more presets. This is serious processing power that's happening here. We've got a chorus, 2 delays, and an algo verb, and I think the foot switch is probably, let me check that. Yep, doing a tap tempo. Let's go into delay, for example. We see beats per minute, or we can show beats. So I go to beats, because let me show you this. It's funny. When you're in beats per minute, this is 375 milliseconds. It literally will go to 32 seconds. So this whole range of this knob is rather pointless. Okay? Rather pointless right here. So really only this very, very fine-tuned area right here is 0.4. And I asked him, well, how do I get something, precise? He said, well, why don't you just type it in? Go to milliseconds, and you literally just type in 85 or whatever I just did. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do, young Padawan. Or you go to beats. You have beats per minute, which of course I can tap in. And then this is interesting. You see this tiny, tiny little piece of shit crap here. Looks like a fly pooped on it. Click on that. And then you get a drop-down menu. Come on. I'm looking on the screen. I should look here. With subdivisions. There's even phi, which is the golden ratio. So we're going to go to dotted eighth. And now right there you can see that it's dotted eighth. One of my problems was, you go back into it, it now has that tempo, but it's showing you in milliseconds again. So why doesn't it hold the subdivision? But I mean, come on, that's fine. That'll be fixed probably by tomorrow. So same thing here, I go to beats, and I set that to phi. Done. Okay, more bitching. I mean, the sound quality is insane. The possibilities are insane. We don't even have to talk about it. Now, let's say I'm in a live situation and I would like to... my levels are whack and my mix is whack. I would have to go into delay, algo, reverb, and adjust the blends individually. There isn't an overall mix. And I looked for a mixer module, which I know Loki can program in half an hour. I would like to be able to take my dry in from one into that mixer module and my effects so that I have one knob that kind of does the overall mix between the modules instead of just having to go into the individual ones. And realistically, that should be on an actual knob on the pedal. I like the idea of only having two master controls, one coarse and one fine. But realistically, you need to be able to do a couple of things live by bending down and doing a quick adjust. One is mix to the original signal, to the dry signal. The other one is output level. And there isn't a way to do output level. So there needs to be an actual knob for mix and output level. That's always assigned to that, I think, on the pedal. That's one major gripe I have with it. It needs on your table at home for studio work. That's fine, but I know it's something I would need to have to adjust rather a lot. We're doing tame presets right now. Basic rotary, really cool. There's also complex rotary with all the different settings. This is rather basic. You have a horn level and a drum level, and then speeds. That's it. Okay, let's move on before this video becomes humongous. Drum day, that's glass shattering is pretty cool. I tweaked that a little bit. Now we're getting into crazy shit because there's a drum pattern. And that actually is drum beats. Bass, snare, hi-hat, and you have individual outputs of these elements. And you have complexity. So there's a bass drum intensity, there's a hi-hat intensity, there's swing, there's a beats per minute, there's a snare density, all that stuff, and you have outputs for those. So it's a trigger. Boom, 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 you know? Boom, 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 boom. And you can actually trigger different things with that. So what does it trigger here? I don't know. No idea what that did, but what does that do? I don't know what that does. That just turns the VCA off and therefore just cuts the signal to the thing. Leslie kind of lost the thing.
Sorry.
Cool chord. Yeah, there's ways around saying where your signal goes. Crazy sound. How it's done, I don't know. Do you care? Maybe not. Maybe just call up the preset. Here on top, another cool preset here, moving pitches. Where we have 2 delays, a chorus, and a flange. Please notice that in usual multi-effects, we have effects chains. So you have to decide what goes into what. Here, as you can see, the in goes into all the effects, and all the effects go into respective outs. They're parallel, they're not serial. You decide how they're wired up. Now it gets interesting. What's a resonator, you ask? I don't know, I would say. But if you have a resonator, and there's an LFO, and another LFO doing something in the resonator, and then a drum pattern that can be triggered by A, what happens is this. That's just the LFOs doing their thing. And so on, or I turn that drum thing on and send the hi-hat pattern into the resonator. Normal stuff, you know. Here's something else before we go into some crazy thing that I did. It's a twist delay, which is clearly stereo, and then something in there is being controlled by probably a hi-hat pattern through an ADSI and an attenuator, you know, clearly. know, standard stuff. Oh, this was cool. So I can't even turn this off. There is no master volume. I need a master volume on this demo. But look at... That's a macro oscillator that has tons of synthesis engines built in. Loki even told me there's a full FM synth built in that you can play with MIDI. Oh my god, the possibilities. It's so much more than, it's a cool delay in chorus, you know, all in there. So, oh yeah, now we're going to mine, which started out as a chorus, pretty much modulating 2 short delays, and I turned it into something completely different, into long delays, actually. Look at it. I'm going straight to 1 and 3. But I'm also going through delay 1 and delay 2. Oh wait, before I show you this, I have to show you the Leon Todd's setting, which is great. It's called Talent Booster. And you know what? If you ever wanted 10 delays, there you go. You wanted your own tap delay with different subdivisions? I think it's 10. 10 delays, different ones on the left and right. Look at that. Look at that. There's an LFO, a VCA that can turn the whole thing on and off. So right now, I should have clean. Nope. Now. And so on. Really cool. Now, my mix, I don't have a mix. The only thing is at the end, he put a VCA. So I can go in there and actually control how much. I can control how much delay I have on either side with VCA 2 and 3. It's a workaround. Okay, and that's the thing with a modular system like this. Not everything will be super user-friendly in the beginning. Not everything will be super clear. There isn't a big mix knob like on a Strum. If you want instant gratification, this might not be a thing. However, where this can go by simply having a mix module, or maybe even a default whenever you call something up, it's like, hey, do you want to add a mix module to that, which is assigned to an actual physical knob? Bam! This will come over time. This is the future, and it's in its infancy, but if you're willing to invest the time, oh my god, can you be creative with this? I'm going to show you something that you cannot do with any other pedal. We're having a stereo delay where left and right delays are different. You know, set up to, I don't know what up. Oh, and the LFOs are controlling the warp, meaning it's a kind of a modulation thing. And it was way too pitchy for me. So So let me show you. I go into the LFO that controls that, and that's right now actually set to random. We can, of course, do sine wave. And I can try to do it more subtly by taking the level down. Kind of staying in the middle there. But I can do random, which I like. So I had to actually talk to Loki to find out that if I take, right now it's relatively drastic how it's moving this around, but if I go to glide and make those transitions more subtle, damn it, now I changed something else. What did I change? Changed something in here. I probably changed the level again because I didn't really hit it. I hit glide. Now, here we go. I'm hitting glide and I'm making the transition smoother. And all of a sudden, it's not so drastic. But that, I couldn't figure it out by myself. So that's what's happening. We have two individually modulated delays with different LFOs. Very cool. You got complete control over whatever you want to do. And then we have this lower chain. Follow me here. We have an LFO, sine wave, that's going into an attenuator. I don't understand what that is. It's A minus B, something like this, so that I can turn it on and off. So that if I wanted to, it would literally cancel each other out. I don't know how we did this, but that's being triggered by foot switch A. Foot switch A is turning the attenuator on. It's simply a means of turning the LFO on or off. And that again is something that I wouldn't have figured out by myself. So should this be easier? I don't know. Am I doing crazy things? Yes. Some of you are twiddly bit people that probably could have figured that out. So that's going into a sum, and that's so that my thing that's doing this is not doing it from 0 to here. It's doing it around another parameter. So I want it to be, so this is my whole range. I wanted to do this in the middle and not at the bottom. Okay? Right now it's doing it whatever the level is set to, 0 plus that. But I want it to be up here, doing this. Okay? And that simply means I'm adding a number to it. I'm adding whatever that A setting is to it. Okay? Now, a lot of these numbers are not actual MIDI settings, or they're not numbers that mean anything to anyone. You have to figure it out by yourself, doing some trial and error. And then it's going to control voltage, because that's what we've been doing. We've been doing virtual control voltage. And I'm assigning it to MIDI continuous controller 17. Why does it say 17.2? Well, because Loki is rounding up or down to the next value. That kind of should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and not 7.8 means, oh, it's actually 8. But he knows that he's working on it. So, what does it do if I hit A now? It is going to send the LFO. It's going to enable that, add a number to it so it's in a different range, and send it and convert it to continuous controller 17 out of the MIDI out on that MIDI channel. And so what does that do? I don't know. We have a camera from the back that can show that. Yeah, there's my Chase Bliss Preamp Mark II automaton. And it's actually moving a fader up and down. That is the mid frequency for my mids. So I can actually push the mids right here, rather up. I can change the Q to a high Q. And all of a sudden we kind of have a filtery sound. Let's check this out. Should be a really cool filter sweep. That's an analog filter from the Chase Bliss. Go back to that camera. Let's see that cool fit. Yeah, come on. So I can actually control other MIDI devices and do stuff like that to parameters. Then there's a foot switch B, going to CV to MIDI CC, and that simply is setting a value. So if we look at this, the foot switch is going to send a value. I don't remember what value it's sending and how I set that, but I set it. I think it's that. No, it's the off value. That's for some reason. Ah, yeah. On value is 0 and off value is higher. So right now it's on. Okay. Now let's see the automaton again. It doesn't always take my click. Do you see this? I click and nothing happens. I don't know why that is. He's one thing to show, other than the other million things to show, but I can't. Go to the settings, and there are tons of settings, okay? There's one little thing that says change to digit. Now, it's digit. That's it. It literally is the other pedal. How that makes sense marketing-wise to sell a pedal and then sell another one, which is that pedal at the same time, it makes no sense. Someone should really kick Loki in terms of being a smart businessman, because it doesn't make sense to sell two products for the price of one. But okay. So you go back, all of a sudden everything is pink. There's a reverb. Let's go to stereo reverbs, and actually, if I go to empty preset, it's going to the preset that I created, which it shouldn't. Empty should always be empty, but I did override, and all of a sudden it overrode the empty one. So here we have a stereo reverb, and digits primary function, in addition to loads of other things, as you can see, that it can do. It has a little bit less synthesizer stuff in it. There's a bass amp. There's also delay and a freeze. There's a looping delay. There's cabs. Power amps, and I haven't even played with the amps. I don't even want to go there. But the pièce de résistance is the convolution reverb, and here we loaded from the real spaces, the mic spread speaker back something. What was it? Oh, from the pool of the Black Star. All you can do is load one. And then you have a mix. But listen to this. This is utterly insane. And yeah, there's analog reverb devices. There are digitals. There's loads of 480L stuff. Lexicon. So bottom line, this is the future of effects. Synthesis crossed with guitar effects, crossed with time effects, delays, chorus, reverbs, all this, being able to fully do whatever you want. And when it comes to the doing fully whatever you want, it's there. But reducing this and making it understandable and easy to use for the average guy that just wants to click through a couple of presets and then know how to tune them, it needs a little bit of time and help from the community to rein in some of those parameters. Like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Oh, wait a second, I come back here and this wasn't the same anymore. The usability is great for someone who wants to dive in. It's great for someone who's okay with it sometimes not necessarily doing exactly what you wanted to do. On one of the things, I had 2 different LFOs, and I clicked it on with the foot switch, and all of a sudden, bam, it crashed the preset, and it had to reload. So that means, realistically, and I'm sorry, Poly Effects, I'm sorry, Loki, my recommendation would be studio, yes. On a pedal board, I don't see the biggest use because switching between presets in the middle of a song, not gonna happen. Even between songs, it takes a little bit. And it's not 100 million% stable. It does have little bugs. Well, it's got a one-man team, okay? Literally building the hardware and the software. So yeah, it has some bugs where maybe the preset might crash or things like this happen or it gets hung up. But that's all okay. That's totally okay because someone dared to dream. That freaky little Australian guy dared to frickin' dream and build something that's mind-blowing. I think if Boss and Strymon and Zoom see this, they should realize that they're years behind with their interfaces. This super high-res screen. Is everything very small? Yes. Is it still usable? Yes. For me, there should be easier ways to just say, oh, I want that delay to be turned off by this foot switch. Okay? Loki's working on that. I told him, he's like, oh, we can do this. Hold on the on button and then a drop-down menu comes. What foot switch do you want that to be assigned to? All these things will come. So there's no reason to say, oh, that doesn't do that. If you wanted to do something, let the man know. And that's the great thing about a small company that dares to dream. They're going to make this into something mind-blowing. The fact that it's got digit built in and you have convolution reverb for your studio on 4 ins and 4 outs is amazing. Now, if this thing cost $800, I would fully be on board and say, yes, buy it. And in a couple months or a year from now, this is going to be insane. It needs more user-friendliness and reining in some of the parameters, like why is a MIDI CC going to decimals in the back? I mean, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not point whatever. Those things will just confuse the fuck out of you, and we don't need that. But he gets it. He's like, oh, of course, because he's a nerd. He thinks nerdy. We need to think simple. But it isn't $800. This can be sold for $399, and he's selling it for $399. There's nothing on the market, nothing that can do what this does, and most certainly not for $399. So this will be an amazing company. If some of you overlook some of the bitching that I've done and simply say, this is killer, I want to invest the time, I want to create the most amazing effect chains ever, and a rotary going through granular triggered by MIDI, anything you want to do, it's there. The build quality is beautiful. Again, what I would like is master volume knob, master mix knob. Or maybe even 2 knobs that can be assigned to anything you want. And they're constantly assigned to that. But right now it's missing a little mix module. And most certainly a master volume out. There's an input level. Set input level, okay. But I think it needs the standard thing. Volume, mix. And that should always be assigned unless you want the knobs to do something else. This is absolutely insane. I have the biggest respect for you, Loki. You are an amazing genius. The community is growing. There's a Facebook group. If you buy this, get invited to the Facebook group. Many people will exchange ideas in that group. I had to spend quite a bit of time with this, but I enjoyed it. And I really think, especially for the synth people that like their modular things and patch things up and spend hours on a patch and then preset, who cares about a preset? Pull the cables out and it's all gone. They love this stuff. This, in conjunction with their analog rack, is insane. I'm split. It's not quite there yet for mass market usability, but for the tweaker, holy flying crapola, go for it. Plus, updates, people. It'll be there every week, every 2 weeks, whatever. There'll be a new update that addresses your wishes. Boss isn't going to do that. They're not going to listen to you. You can't even freaking call them. Eventide? Oh, could we have this feature? Good luck. Strymon? Yeah, try to get someone at Strymon to incorporate one of your ideas. Good luck with that. That's all I got to say. Links below. Thanks, Leslie. Animals at the end.
Drown in your tears. When I'm with you, I'm a person, and I forget all my fears. Hold me and don't let go. I don't care what people say. It's my